Hey there. Ready to explore how drones are changing the game for architects, engineers, and construction.
Yeah.
We've got a deep dive for you today. It's based on this in-depth book all about drone tech in AEC. We're skipping the hype today and we're going right to the real stuff.
Cool.
So we're looking at how drones are used on real projects, what kind of data they can actually gather, and if they're, actually worth the investment.
What's really fascinating to me about this book is, well, it doesn't just talk about the tech itself.
Right.
It really looks at how drones are changing how we think about design and construction.
Exactly. Like drones can take amazing aerial shots, that much we know.
Yeah.
This book even has these cool examples of using drones to find ancient cities in rainforests.
Oh, wow.
It also talks about modeling rock faces for hazard mitigation,
Interesting.
mapping out entire ski
For
areas.
planning.
Yeah, for master planning. But it struck me that these images are doing more than just looking cool. They're actually shaping how we design things.
Hmm. That's so true. Designers can now see projects in a whole new context, understanding how they fit into the surrounding environment and how people will experience them from different points of view.
Yeah.
And this shifting perspective is actually leading to more sensitive and user-focused designs.
There's this story in the book about how a firm used drone footage
Mm-hmm.
to show a community what a new development would look like
Right.
from street level.
Mm.
And it totally changed their perception of the whole project. They went from skeptical to totally supporting it.
Wow. That's amazing.
It really shows how drones can be more than just for documentation. They're becoming these powerful communication tools,
Mm.
like bridging the gap between those complex design ideas and the people who will actually be living with those designs.
That's a great way to put it. It's about bringing designs to life, making them real for people.
And this book emphasizes how drones are a full-cycle tool in AEC. It shows how they're relevant at every single stage of a project, from the proposal to the final construction.
It's like right from the beginning
Yeah. You can use them in proposals, for example.
to kind of get the client on board.
Exactly. It gives potential clients a better understanding of the site.
Right.
Here's what we're working with.
That makes sense.
Then in design development, drones can actually find hidden things on the site that might impact your plans.
Uh-huh.
Things like, underground utilities or variations in the topography.
Oh, yeah. Catching those things early can save you a lot of headaches.
Totally. Imagine finding those issues during construction.
Oh, that would be a nightmare.
And talking about construction, drones are essential now for monitoring progress,
Right.
for doing those safety inspections,
Yeah.
and just making sure everything is built according to plan.
It's like having an extra set of eyes on the site all the time.
Totally. And then there's public engagement.
Uh-huh.
Using drone footage to create visualizations or virtual tours can really help communities understand and get excited about a project.
Yeah.
It's way better than blueprints.
Way more engaging.
Yeah.
People can really get a feel for what the project will look like and how it will impact their community.
So, what does all this actually mean for someone actually working in AEC?
Well, it's not just about saving time and money.
Those are big ones.
Yeah, huge benefits. But it's about better communication, more informed decision making, and ultimately getting better results on your projects.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the data.
Okay, let's do it.
This book goes through all the types of data that drones can collect, and it's way more than just photos and videos.
Oh, yeah, drones can collect a whole range of data these days.
Yeah,
It's really about choosing the right type of data for what you need on the project.
right.
For instance, you can get 2D and 3D concept overlays to show your design ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and you can create detailed site models from 3D meshes.
Okay.
And you can isolate certain things using what are called classified point clouds.
What kinds of things can you isolate?
Well, say you want to just look at the vegetation on a site.
Okay.
You could use a classified point cloud to separate the trees from the buildings and other stuff.
That makes sense.
And if you need to get really accurate measurements for your site plans,
Yeah.
drones can generate contour CAD line work and digital elevation models.
Hmm. And I think they can create thermal maps too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
To identify heat loss in buildings or leaks in infrastructure.
Exactly. And one of
Uh-huh.
the most powerful things they can do is using time-based comparisons to track construction progress or just see how a site has changed over time.
That's amazing. Now, I know some people are probably thinking right now, This is all great, but drones are probably expensive.
Yeah, good point.
Is it really worth the investment?
Especially if you're a small firm or just starting out.
Yeah. That's where this book gets really helpful, I think.
Totally.
It digs into the costs involved, the initial investment, recurring expenses like software subscriptions, and even potential return on investment.
And the maintenance, too.
Oh, right. Maintenance, too.
Yeah, all of that needs to be factored in.
So it even has these sample startup cost estimations
Oh, cool.
and tables that compare different drone models and their capabilities.
Very useful.
Yeah. The book is trying to, like, help you figure out if drones make sense financially for your situation.
Exactly. What's important is to understand the costs involved and weigh them against the potential benefits for your specific business.
Right. And the book is upfront about the fact that not all drone data is created equal.
Uh-huh.
It warns about what it calls the good data versus good-looking data trap.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Like, you might get these stunning images and 3D models,
Right.
but if the underlying data is inaccurate or, if you misinterpret it, it can lead to some expensive mistakes later on.
Definitely. You can have the prettiest pictures in the world, but if the data is bad, it's useless.
And there's this case study in the book about a rock fall analysis. They found out that how far the drone was from the cliff actually affected the accuracy of the point cloud data they were getting.
Oh, wow.
And it turned out they needed to fly closer to the cliff to get enough detail for for reliable analysis.
So it's really crucial to understand data accuracy limitations and ethical considerations, especially when it comes to photogrammetry.
So it's not just about flying a drone around, it's about knowing how to collect the data responsibly and what that data actually means.
Yeah, you need to be able to interpret it correctly.
So that brings us to another important thing. The book covers the legal stuff around drone operations.
Right. We can't forget about that.
Because as cool as drones are, there are a bunch of rules and regulations.
Oh, for sure.
We need to be aware of those.
Absolutely. And this book breaks down those key things.
Yeah.
First up is the FAA Part 107 licensing,
Uh-huh.
which you need for, well, any commercial drone work in the U.S. It explains what the license covers, how to actually get it, and it even gives you tips for studying for the exam.
That's helpful. And what about getting permission to fly in certain areas,
Right.
like near airports or like sensitive locations?
Exactly.
Is that in the book too?
Totally. The book explains how to use this system called LANC.
LANC.
Yeah, it stands for Low Altitude Authorization and Notification Capability.
Oh, okay.
And it lets you get quick approval to fly in certain airspaces. But sometimes you'll need to apply for a waiver from the FAA, especially for flights in more restricted areas.
So it's important to plan ahead and make sure you're allowed to fly where you need to fly.
Absolutely. Don't forget about insurance either. Just like with any business, having proper liability coverage is essential,
Right.
Just in case there's an accident.
To protect yourself and your clients.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And beyond the actual legal stuff, the book really stresses professional etiquette.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Yeah, and respecting local regulations. It encourages drone operators to communicate with people in the area where they'll be flying, to address privacy concerns and be mindful of how their actions might affect others.
Like, it's about building trust.
Right. Building trust with the community.
Yeah.
And showing that drones can be used responsibly.
So it's not just about following the rules.
Exactly.
It's about being a good neighbor.
Right.
All right. Let's move on to best practices for actual flight operations.
Sounds good.
This book has a whole section on pre-flight planning, visual line of sight, safety checks,
Yeah.
and using those flight controller apps.
That's important stuff.
Oh, yeah. Pre-flight planning is super important.
Totally.
The book recommends making a detailed flight plan, which includes mapping out your flight path,
Yeah.
checking the weather conditions,
Yeah.
identifying any potential hazards, and familiarizing yourself with, like, your drone and its controls.
It's like having a roadmap for your drone flight, making sure you've thought through all the details before you take off. Then, once you're up in the air, the book stresses the importance of maintaining visual line of sight, or VLOS. This means you should be able to see your drone at all times.
Now, I know this is a legal requirement, but it's also just, like, common sense for safety.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely. You need to be able to see what's going on around your drone and react if something unexpected happens.
Right.
And let's not forget those all-important safety checks both before and during flight.
Oh, yeah. Those are crucial.
Before you even think about taking off, the book recommends checking the drone's propellers for any damage.
Okay.
Make sure the battery is securely installed and check for any loose connections.
So it's like giving your drone a thorough once-over to make sure everything's in tip-top shape.
Exactly.
So what about while you're flying?
While you're up in the air, it's crucial to be aware of your surroundings and watch out for potential hazards like trees, power lines, birds, or even other aircraft.
Like, you don't want to be that person who crashes their drone into a power line.
Definitely not. It's important to be aware and stay safe.
Now, one thing I found really interesting was the book's advice on using those flight controller apps.
Oh, yeah, those can be super helpful.
Yeah. They offer so many automation features, like setting up autonomous flight paths and capturing images automatically.
Exactly. But the book warns against relying too heavily on automation, especially for really complex tasks or in challenging environments.
Right. Even the most sophisticated app can't replace a skilled pilot.
Exactly. It's about finding the right balance between automation and pilot control,
Yeah.
knowing when to let the app do its thing and when to take over manually.
So it's about staying engaged and not just letting the app do all the work.
Right.
And the book suggests practicing emergency procedures in a simulator.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah, much safer than trying to figure things out when your drone is like 100 feet in the air.
Absolutely. Simulators let you practice handling those unexpected situations in a safe environment.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of drone technology, flight operations, the different types of data they can collect,
Yeah.
and the legal and ethical stuff.
Right.
But let's take a closer look at one of the most exciting applications of drones in AEC photogrammetry.
Photogrammetry. Yeah. That's where drones are really shining in AEC.
It's the process of creating those detailed 3D models from photographs, right?
Exactly. It allows us to capture a level of detail and accuracy that was just unimaginable before.
Like, seeing a 2D drawing of a building is one thing, but it's totally different to actually explore a 3D model that you can, rotate, zoom in on, and even virtually walk through.
Totally agree. It's a game changer for design visualization.
Now, I've always wondered, how does photogrammetry actually work?
Okay, so it all starts with capturing a series of overlapping images of the area you want to model. This is where the drone comes in, of course. It flies a pre-programmed path and takes photos at regular intervals.
So these images need to be taken from multiple angles.
Yeah, exactly. You need oblique images taken at an angle to capture vertical surfaces and those intricate details.
So it's not just a few quick snaps from overhead. It's about capturing a comprehensive data set that covers, every nook and cranny of the site.
That's right. You need a complete coverage for an accurate model.
So once you have all these images, what's next?
You'll need special software to process them. Some popular choices are Pix4D and Agisoft Metashape.
Okay.
But there are also simpler options like Maps Made Easy, which is online.
So there are options for everyone, from beginners to experts.
Exactly. The software, no matter which one you choose, it basically identifies common points in those overlapping images.
What kinds of common points?
Oh, distinct features or textures that are in multiple pictures.
Like the corner of a building or a specific pattern in the pavement, right?
Exactly. The software uses these points to build a 3D point cloud, which is basically a collection of data points that represent the shape and surface of what you're modeling.
So it's kind of like creating a digital fingerprint of the site.
That's a great analogy. And once you have that point cloud, you can refine it even further and make a 3D mesh.
A mesh.
Yeah, it's a more, refined and visually appealing representation of the object.
So the mesh is what we actually see in those stunning 3D models.
Exactly. And how detailed the mesh is, well, it depends on a few things.
Okay.
Like how many images you took, the quality of those pictures, and how powerful your computer is.
Right.
Because we're talking about processing a massive amount of data.
The book actually recommends having a powerful computer for photogrammetry.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You need a good processor, lots of RAM, and a good graphics card.
It's not just about the drone. You need the computer power to actually handle all that data.
Exactly.
Now, how accurate are these photogrammetry models?
That's a great question. It depends on a few things.
Like what?
Well, the distance between the drone and the subject is one big factor.
Okay.
The closer you are, the more details you can capture.
So it's like taking a close-up versus a wide shot with a regular camera.
Yeah, exactly. And how much the images overlap also matters.
Okay.
The more overlap you have, the more accurate the 3D model is going to be.
Got it. And then there are those markers that I always see in drone photos.
Oh, you mean the ground control points or GCPs?
Yeah, those? What are they actually for?
Well, they're points with known coordinates,
Okay.
and we use them to make the 3D model even more accurate
Oh.
by basically tying it into real-world coordinates.
So they're like anchors that keep the model grounded in reality.
That's a good way to put it. The book actually goes into detail about the different types of GCPs, how to place them correctly, and the equipment you need to measure their coordinates.
So even though drones can capture this amazing data, it's still important to ground that data in reality to make sure it's truly accurate.
Exactly. That grounding is essential for using the data in real-world applications.
Now, I'm sure photogrammetry has its limitations too, right?
It does, like any technology. For example, it can be tricky to capture things that are moving. Trees swaying in the wind or cars driving by.
Or those birds that always seem to fly into the shot.
Haha, yeah, those too. And capturing reflective surfaces can be tough.
Like what?
Things like water or glass, they can like mess with the software's algorithms.
So photogrammetry isn't a perfect solution, but it's still an amazing tool.
Oh, absolutely. And it's getting better and better all the time as technology keeps advancing.
It's really exciting to think about all the possibilities. Now, what about some of the other types of data that drones can collect? I mean, besides photogrammetry?
Oh, there are a lot. We've talked about thermal imaging,
Right.
which can be used for, finding heat loss in buildings or leaks in pipes.
Yeah.
But there's also LIDAR.
LiDAR.
Yeah, it stands for light detection and ranging.
That one sounds really high tech.
It is. It uses lasers to measure distances.
Okay.
And it creates these really detailed elevation models.
For what?
Oh, they're really important for stuff like surveying, engineering, and even archaeology.
Wait, so you can use drones to find, like, ancient ruins?
You can. LiDAR is good at seeing through dense vegetation, so it can reveal hidden features that you wouldn't be able to see from the ground or even from aerial photos.
Wow.
And there are even drones that can carry multispectral sensors.
What do those do?
Well, they capture data beyond what we can see with our eyes.
Really?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it lets us see things that would otherwise be invisible.
Wow. So what kind of things can you see with multispectral data?
This type of data can be used for analyzing plant health, identifying different types of plants, and even monitoring environmental conditions.
It's amazing how much information we can get from these drones.
It really is. And as the technology keeps getting better, the possibilities will only continue to grow.
Okay, so we've talked about where drone technology is now,
Uh-huh.
but where is it headed?
That's a good question.
What are some of those, like, emerging trends and challenges?
Yeah.
And how will they shape the future of how we, design, build, and interact with the built world?
Those are some great questions. And luckily, this book doesn't just focus on the present.
Oh, good.
It gives us a glimpse into the future of drone tech in AEC, and it's looking pretty exciting.
I can't wait to hear about it. What's on the horizon for drones in AEC?
Well, for starters, the tech itself is, changing so fast.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about faster, smarter drones that can gather even more data.
Right.
And they'll have these specialized sensors. We
Right.
talked about thermal, LIDAR, and multispectral.
Yeah.
But this book, it hints that hyperspectral sensors are going to be like the next big thing.
Hyperspectral sensors, those sound pretty high tech.
They are. Think of it this way. Hyperspectral sensors can capture hundreds of bands of light, way beyond what we can see. It gives us this deeper understanding of materials. Like, imagine identifying specific types of minerals or detecting, subtle changes in plant health, things we can't see with our own eyes.
So we're giving drones, like, superhuman vision.
Exactly. And as these sensors get better, smaller, well, we'll see them in even smaller drones. Oh, cool.
More agile drones.
So we're talking about drones that can get into tighter spaces, capture data from, all these new angles.
Exactly. And the book talks about another big trend.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence.
AI.
AI.
Yeah.
That's everywhere these days.
It really is. It's going to revolutionize how we use drones in AEC.
How so?
Well, imagine drones that don't just collect data, but they analyze it too in real time.
Wow.
They can flag potential problems on a job site, generate reports,
Oh, wow.
and they can even suggest solutions.
So drones are becoming more like partners in the design and construction process, not just tools.
Exactly. This AI-powered analysis could help us make better decisions,
Right.
improve safety, and optimize how we do things in construction. The book even suggests AI could help us predict maintenance needs before problems even happen.
It's like having a team of like virtual experts constantly checking on your project,
Yeah, exactly.
but without the added payroll.
Exactly. Now, with all this talk about I gotta ask, does this book talk about drones replacing people?
Replacing architects, engineers, construction workers?
Yeah, well, they take our jobs.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
It does address that, and its view is that drones will actually help us.
Not replace us.
Right. Augment our capabilities. Think of it as a team effort.
So it's about finding that balance where technology helps us.
Exactly. Drones can take care of those repetitive tasks,
Uh-huh.
the data-heavy stuff like inspections and surveys.
Okay, yeah.
And that leaves us humans free to focus on the creative parts.
The big picture stuff.
The strategic thinking, the problem solving, the things that make us human.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Absolutely. And as drone tech keeps getting more advanced, it's also getting, well, less expensive.
Oh, that's good news.
Right. Which is great news for smaller firms and, independent folks.
People just starting out.
Exactly. The book highlights that the cost of drones and sensors is going down,
Yep.
making it more accessible to all kinds of AEC professionals.
So more people can use them.
Exactly. And that's going to lead to even more innovation, more creative uses for drones.
That's exciting. But also, with more drones up in the air,
Yeah.
doesn't that mean more potential for accidents?
Oh, absolutely. That's a valid concern.
Or even misuse?
Right. And the book talks about this need for stricter regulations and licensing as drones become, well, just a regular part of things.
Makes sense.
We'll probably see a combo of technological solutions like geofencing
Okay.
and those automatic collision avoidance systems.
Right, to help prevent accidents.
Exactly. But also more education and training for drone operators.
So it's not just about the tech itself.
Right.
It's about creating a culture of safety and responsibility.
Absolutely. And there's also this challenge of managing all that data.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering about that.
Drones can generate a ton of information.
We're talking like terabytes of photos, videos, 3D models.
Right. All that sensor data can be overwhelming.
Yeah. So what does the book say about that?
Well, it stresses that we need really solid systems for storing all this data, for processing it, and for sharing it.
Cloud-based systems, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. We'll need to figure out new ways to manage this influx of information.
It's not just about collecting the data.
Right.
It's about using it effectively.
Turning it into something that actually helps us.
Makes sense.
Now, all of that is just the beginning.
Oh.
The book also dives into some really mind-blowing future applications of drone technology that honestly sound like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. Give us a glimpse into the future. What's coming next?
Well, the book talks about even more specialized sensors.
Oh, okay.
Like, remember we talked about thermal, LiDAR, and multispectral?
Yeah.
The book says hyperspectral sensors are going to be huge.
Hyperspectral, what are those?
So they can capture way more light than we can see, like hundreds of bands of light. So it's like giving drones this super detailed vision. We could identify like specific minerals or see tiny changes in plants, stuff we'd never notice otherwise.
That's amazing.
And as these sensors get even better and smaller, we'll be able to put them in even tinier drones.
Oh, cool.
Drones that can get into all sorts of spaces.
That's a game changer.
It is. And the book talks about another big trend, AI.
AI. Yeah, that's everywhere now.
Right. And it's going to totally change how we use drones in AEC.
Really?
Think about it. Drones that not only collect data,
Yeah.
but they analyze it too, like right there on the spot.
Oh, wow.
They could spot problems, make reports,
Okay.
even suggest solutions.
The drones are becoming more like partners on projects.
Exactly. They'll help us make smarter choices,
Oh.
improve safety, work more efficiently.
Makes sense.
The book even says AI could help us predict when we need to do maintenance, like before things break.
That would be incredible. So much less downtime.
Right. So all this AI stuff, it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
will drones replace people altogether?
Like architects and engineers and construction workers. Will they take our jobs?
Right. The book does talk about that, and it says that drones will actually help us.
Not replace us.
Right. It'll be more like working together.
So technology helping us do our jobs better.
Exactly. Drones can do the boring stuff,
Ah,
like inspections and surveys, all those data-heavy tasks.
okay.
So we can focus on the creative parts, the strategic stuff.
That makes sense.
And as drone tech gets even more advanced, guess what?
What?
It's getting more affordable, too.
Really? That's great news.
Right. So smaller firms, independent folks, they can all start using this tech.
That'll open up so many possibilities.
Exactly. It'll lead to even more innovation, more creative uses for drones.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
But, with more and more drones in the sky,
Yeah.
it seems like there's a lot more potential for accidents.
For sure. And the book talks about needing stronger regulations, better licensing.
Mhm.
As drones become like a normal part of things, we'll probably see some cool new tech solutions like geofencing
Okay.
and automatic collision avoidance systems, but also more education and training for pilots.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
It's not just about the tech. It's about being responsible with it.
Right, creating a culture of safety in the drone world. And then there's the data itself.
Oh, yeah. All that data.
Drones can generate so much info.
Photos, videos, 3D models, all those sensor readings. It's a lot to manage.
It really is. And the book makes this point: we need good systems for dealing with all that data, storing it, processing it, sharing it.
Cloud-based platforms, maybe.
Exactly. New workflows, new ways of thinking, because it's not just about collecting data, it's about what you do with it.
Making it actually useful.
Exactly. So, we've talked about a lot, but the book doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
It also looks at some really mind-blowing stuff, like future applications of drone tech.
Like what?
Imagine drones that could not only inspect buildings, but they could actually fix them, too.
Fix them. Like how?
Drones with little robotic arms, they
no.
could patch roofs, seal cracks, do regular maintenance tasks. It could totally change how we think about construction.
Wow. That's like tiny flying construction workers.
Right? And it gets even more interesting. Imagine swarms of drones.
Swarms. Like a lot of them.
Yeah, working together like a team to actually build entire buildings.
Wow. Using 3D printing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but the book dives into swarm robotics, autonomous construction. The stuff is moving so fast.
It's amazing, but also a little scary to think about.
I know, right? That's why the book is really careful about, the ethics of it all.
Yeah.
We need to be thoughtful about these new technologies, make sure we're using them responsibly for the benefit of everyone.
Well, it's clear that drones are going to be a huge part of AEC in the future.
For sure.
This book has been a real eye-opener.
Me too. It really makes you think about the possibilities.
So for our listeners, stay curious, keep learning about this stuff. And who knows, maybe you'll be using drones in your work someday.
The possibilities are endless.
That's it for today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of drones in AEC.
It's been fun.
Until next time, keep learning, keep innovating, and, keep looking up.